Awesome to be back here with you. Always a fun time to do these live streams. It really gives me a way to connect with fellow veterans out there, folks who are looking to connect over some coffee. Let me adjust this camera here really quick because I moved things around yesterday. Here, there we go. Move things around yesterday, and I'll explain why I did that for good reason. Okay. There we go. Hopefully that helps out. Yeah, I had to move stuff around yesterday because I came in and the office that I'm in, my office here, was smelling a little stale, and I wondered what the hell is going on. What is that smell? And sure enough, I have pets. I have a dog and a cat, and I don't know which one of them did it, but there was definitely some stains on the carpet here that I have in my office. So I had to move that out, and the carpet is under all the desks and the chair back there and all that stuff, kind of make it like kind of a homey feel, and move that out to the garage so I can shampoo that thing later. I'm actually in the market of looking at one of those washable rugs that you kind of throw down, the real thin ones, and for the purpose of just being able to clean it fairly quickly. Because this carpet that I had on here was really thick, and I had to roll it up. I had to get my kid over here to help me roll it up, take it out to the garage, and just to kind of get the smell out of the office, right? So I had to rearrange things a little bit. With that, I'm never at ease with the way things are, so I had to move things around. I tried my desk over there. I tried my desk behind me, and things are never. I've always been like that, always moving stuff around. So but in the end, I kept it as is, and now my office still remains the same, and now the stench is gone for right now. So more to come on that. That was my day. So on top of that, I don't know who else did it out there, but hit the gym this morning. If you hit the gym this morning as well, big ups to you. I know we talked a lot about it in my past on a post and past videos about getting your life in check, about starting off not even the New Year's, but your new day to day the right way. And that is concentrating on your mental health, your spiritual health, and your physical health. Because the only way to take advantage of those, that military retirement or that VA disability for the long term, is to make sure that you are around, that we are around for the long term. So if you got it, if you got the workout in this morning, hey, shout out to you. Shout out to you. Real quick, going to the comments here. Navy Cop, welcome. Boston Rob, second act. I like that. Navy Cop says, moving desks, moving monitors, adjusting cameras, the life of an influencer. Well, yeah, I never, I can never feel at ease with somebody asking me like, hey, what do you do? I'm like, well, I do these live streams and stuff like that and I have this channel, and they're like, oh, so you're like an influencer? And I'm like, no, like I've never owned that title. I don't know why. I suppose what I'm doing is something of an influencer, but I don't know if I feel like I'd have to be like a gamer or something like that if I'm an influencer, right? Boston Rob says, happy Monday. 3 more days to go to get our eggnog and gingerbread fixes. We'll keep drinking coffee year round, though. Hell yeah, I like that. I might have to switch this up with some eggnog and throw in a couple of 1,000 calories in this mug around that time. I like the taste of eggnog. I have remember Christmas Vacation, the moose mug, the glass one. I got that somewhere in here. I like filling that thing with the eggnog. I will only drink eggnog out of there, but if I can't find it, I'm gonna have to settle for any other mug that I have. So good stuff. I'll you know what? Let me see if I can do this. Show comments on stage. Let's see if I can what this is about. Oh, look at that. Holy shoot. That's cool. I've not used that before. I don't know if you all can see it, but I got the comments like under my right here somewhere. That's cool. It's this this option here, show comments on stage. You know what? We have used that like way back in the day. This comments on stage until some knucklehead got on there and started like typing some crazy stuff. I forgot that this was an option. Started typing some crazy stuff, and we're like, "Yeah, this is no go. This is maybe we shouldn't put this up on the stage." Um, Maybe cop says spike eggnog is the way to go. Never tried it, but has rum, so can't be wrong. No, it can't be wrong. I like that spiked eggnog. Man, you can spike anything, dude. Spiked chicken broth, just you can spike anything. Throw some whiskey in there, you'd be all good. Yeah. So, camaraderie around the holidays is the title of this one. I thought I updated it to real connections and camaraderie around the holidays, but uh, what got me thinking about this is when my kids asked me about it. Like I went to church yesterday and all that stuff. I usually do that on Sundays, so that's why I had to take off kind of early, or at least kind of speed it up a little bit towards the end of the military retirement podcast. But here, let me turn this off because it's kind of throwing me off. I'm reading the comments and I'm talking here. But it got me thinking about the real networks, real connections with people. Not saying that our connections are not real. I mean, you are real people. I am a real person. They are real connections. I've seen some crazy stuff out there with people connecting and like falling in love with AIs, which is like a very a very like futuristic way of thinking. Like we've seen RoboCop and Terminator and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, this shit's happening now. But real connections with real people, right? And yesterday I had a talk with my boys, because they're on the Christmas break, and we started coming up with plans. Like, hey, what do we want to do while they're off on Christmas break? And I posed a question to them, and their thing was, hey, video games. Let's do video games, right? I want to play video games. I want to go to GameStop. That. I'm like, well, video games are cool, but I keep them on a limit, no more than 4 hours a day on the video games or the screens and stuff like that. Aside from that, they got to find something else to do. And I figured, you know what? Now that they're not like rushing to school every morning, let's revamp this, and I'll take them to the gym because they did ask me a while back, hey, Dad, when you left in the mornings back when you were in uniform, like you would leave at like 4:30, 5:30 in the morning. Where were you going? And I'm like, well, I was going to PT, or I was on duty, or, whatever the case may be. I was doing stuff, and usually with my unit, and I walked them through that, let them know what that was like. And they were intrigued. So yesterday I asked them, hey, look, can you guys want to do something like that? Like we used to like work out together. We used to sweat together, suffer together, and it made us a tighter team because of it. And my youngest one is all about, he's all about baseball and teamwork and all that stuff. He's like, oh, yeah, 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 let's do it. The older one's like, well, we'll see how it goes. And so we went to the gym this morning around 7:30. I woke up, and didn't have my coffee yet, but I was, it was kind of go. I had to walk the dog, stuff like that. But we went to the gym. I made that real connection. I made these kids freaking plank and then do mountain climbers, and we do kettlebells, and we did sit-ups and all the good stuff, all the nasty stuff that we remember from back in the day is what I had them do. And I really enjoyed it. And my youngest one came up and hugged me afterwards. He's like, hey, Dad, thanks, because it really did make me feel better. He was pushing back on it a little bit when I told him, hey, we're going to be doing this, this, and this. And he's like, oh gosh, I don't want to do that. But at the end, he's like, yeah, it made me feel better. Thanks for that. And that I really do admire that. A real connection right there. And knowing that I can take these kids out now and we can suffer together, we can struggle together, sweat together, and things will be all right. And the biggest thing is trying to implement that into their lives, into their daily lives. The last thing I want to see them do is, have health problems in their later age because they don't take care of themselves now, and laying out the foundation right now. That's what it is. So let me see. Who do we got in the chat here? We got a few folks from the Green Logbook. I'm also streaming this on the Military Retirement Podcast, getting some folks from the Military Retirement Podcast side. And yeah, absolutely, Navy Cop. Yeah, good for him and seeing the big picture. Yeah, yeah, and it is. I'm happy that he got it, and now he's making breakfast, so he might walk in here with some scrambled eggs or something like that. So we'll see. We will see. Um, yeah, who we got here? If you're just joining us, welcome to the Green Logbook. Also streaming on the Military Retirement Podcast. Please share where you're joining us from. There's a few folks on here where you're joining us from. And this is all about veterans and coffee. I've got my coffee here. Pissed off that I went to the grocery store yesterday and I did not pick up some half and half. Kicking myself in the ass for that. So I'm going full black right now. Just dark roast, just regular coffee, right? And doing it like Navy cop on the ship, just sipping, just pissed off and sipping. That's what it is, man. Actually, it doesn't taste too bad. I haven't. I'm not a big fan of drinking just black coffee, but when that's the only thing there is, as long as you got some good beans, you're good to go. You're good to go. I left my journals in the other room. Let's see. See what we got going on here. How do I turn this thing? There we go. Turn that off there. They're always implementing these new options on this streaming thing, and I don't know what the hell they're adding on here, but there we go. Let me save that. But yeah, that's what it's all about, man, is making the connection, especially now during the holidays, during this period of time. I talk a lot about it where I go to that veterans group over at the VA. I just stopped by. It was my first time last Tuesday, and they play that Native American flute. I know I talked a lot about it. It's sitting right here. I don't know if you can see that right there. This Native American flute there that they gifted me, and they're like handmade or something, or made by a family over in Washington State. And I was thinking about it. I was practicing the notes that they gave me, and I could not wait. I can't wait to get back there and just sit around in that circle and just share stories with these old Vietnam vets. Something about it, I don't know what it is. It's the real connection for one, and it's listening to their stories, like stories that I don't know if they're written down. I have no idea if these gentlemen or these ladies have journals. Um, I doubt they have a podcast or a YouTube channel. Maybe they do. I'll have to ask. But it's about the real connection I make with them, and just what that one gentleman last week, that old Vietnam veteran mentioned, like, hey, look, times are tough for him around the holidays, and it it made me feel a certain way. I was like, damn, I feel like I need to reach out to this dude. I gave him the card, right? I'm like, hey, join me on this live stream, dude, if you want to, or let's freaking meet up for a coffee sometime. That's cool. That's cool with me too. I'd love to hear your story. And actually, I think I'll tell him that tomorrow when I do meet up with him. I would love to hear his story because I'm sure that he has seen things and heard things that could not even imagine. Being a Vietnam veteran. Navy Cop says, not a big coffee drinker. After serving in Italy, Italian coffee broke me down from enjoying American coffee. Yeah, I remember the Italian coffee. When I stayed in Florence, we went out there for a vacation. We stayed out in Florence, and right next to our hotel, it was a beautiful hotel with like a rooftop with a view of the Duomo. And next door to our hotel was a little coffee shop. And in the mornings, I thought, I had never had like coffee in Italy, and I went down there just to get some morning coffee. I was like, hey, I'll just grab us 2 coffees, like as if I'm going to Starbucks or something. Now they do have Starbucks over there, but as if I'm going to Starbucks. And it was hilarious because I walk in and there's like all these dudes in like business suits, just like bombarding the front counter, sipping their espressos or whatever, and just going and just eating their cornetos, which are like the croissants. but never call never call it a croissant while you're in Italy, is what I was told. Uh, let's see, Boston Rob. I drink my coffee black, but I wash my mug. Dude, why do you wash a mug, man? I thought that was a no-no. No, I wash my mug too. I had one that I didn't wash, and my wife was pissed about it, but it's still like the inside's still all black, even after it's clean. Yeah, with that here, I'll share this on the live chat here, and as I normally do. If you would like to jump on the live stream, jump on the live stream. I don't know why I speak to myself when I type, but that's what it is. If you'd like to jump on the live stream, here is the link to jump on the live stream this Monday morning, talking about connections, real connections and camaraderie around the holidays. Right now is a great time for folks, but it can also be a tough time for folks. And it's very evident based on the conversations I've been having this past week, or at least last week too. Navy Cop says cheap petty officers will throw you over the side for washing their cups. Yeah, I think I shared with you, Navy Cop, as well, or folks on here. When I was a young warthog, when I was an E3, E2 maybe, when I was stationed in Camp Pendleton, first duty station. These suckers, they made me, I guess I was the sucker. They're like, hey, we got a field day, right? Field day means, I'm sure most of us know what it means. It just means cleanup, right? It was on Thursdays. We were to clean up. And all right, we got a field day, the entire office. We got a field day, everything. Vacuum and, just do the whole cleaning the decks and all that. And they told me, hey, you got to go clean Gunny's coffee pot. It's terribly dirty, and Gunny's coffee pot looked like it had never been cleaned. So I was like, this thing is disgusting. Let me clean it for this man. And I thought I was doing this man a solid. I took the Dawn soap, I went to the bathroom, I washed it out, scrubbed it, and his mug as well. And holy crap, the wrath of God that came down on me after the fact. When he went in his office, and I was proud as hell. I was like, oh man, this guy hooked this dude up, cleaned his trash, awesome. And he walked in his office, old crusty dude too, old crusty Gunny. I don't know how old this, from my perspective, this dude looked like he was 60, but old crusty dude. And he was like, he had a cane too, like his leg was all messed up. And he was like, what the hell? And behind closed doors, right? And just pissed. And he's like, get in my office. We all freaking ran in there. And sure enough, I should not have washed. They messed with me. All fingers are pointed at me. It was kind of like the intro of the new guy coming on deck. So that was me. We washed his mug, and nothing. I was on the radar for quite some time after that, to say the least. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I missed you. 12 Bravo 10. Welcome back, dude. I like that photo you got going on there, man. The gray and the beard and all that. That's cool. Cool. Got getting a couple comments on these videos I'm putting out there. Some of these are, they make me laugh. Some of them, got me thinking. And there's one. Yeah. So I put that video I put up. I put up the whole video of the 6 bills, but I also put up shorts videos specifically on why the Major Richard Starr Act matters. And somebody on there, Krusty Farmer 7688, mentioned yesterday. He says, I hope it never passes. I served 25 years, and nowadays the veterans want everything that everyone else has. Life is a deck of cards. You get blown up after 2 days in country. With 6 months in service, you were dealt a shitty hand. Okay, well, he put a space on there. You were dealt a shitty hand. You should not get a lifetime retirement check. Sorry. People cried hard enough, and the PACT Act was created. Yet a real Gulf War veteran had to fight 30 years, proving every disability that is a freebie today. Basic training Bob gets to fly Space A, shop at my commissary, buying up all the meat. Nah, I'm tired of making everything easy. That is definitely a different perspective. And as I mentioned before, I do appreciate new perspectives or different perspectives. Um, Curious what you think about what this man has just mentioned. And this is regarding the Major Richard Starr Act that I put out there. The Major Richard Starr Act that would make the VA disability and the for those who were medically retired, I guess they don't get retired pay, and it offsets their VA disability. So this man says, I hope it doesn't pass because people want things. Service members nowadays want things that they don't, essentially, they should not get. Space A, shop at a commissary, just for serving basic training. Basic training, Bob, he says. Curious what your thoughts are on that. Uh, Let me see. I suppose I got to think about this one because I mean from what I've been exposed to on like TikTok stuff. I know I put out a couple of videos on there how folks on TikTok are like flaunting their 100% VA disability and getting out after 4 years, um, and somebody else had put it a different way too. Another comment saying that folks now are joining the service in hopes with the goal of getting their 100% VA disability and then getting out after 4 years. I cannot, I don't know if that's a real thing. It's just speculation at this point. There's no statistics for that, right? But I have eyes. I can see what people are posting on on TikTok, and they look pretty young, and they're getting their 100% VA disability, and maybe he has a point. Curious what you think out there. I've stopped looking. I've stopped looking at the whole TikTok thing, man. That thing was it was getting me a little angry, and I figured why live in that space where I'm constantly just getting pissed off about things that I'm watching when it really doesn't affect anybody else. But it is affecting me. I'm not doing that anymore. What else we got going here? Oh, right on. The many thanks to all those folks who have subscribed to the channel. It really helps out with putting the channel in front of more veterans out there who are looking to connect, build that tribe, that camaraderie. Like I mentioned, it really does help. It really does help. So I truly appreciate it. And shout out to all the members of the channel. I know Navy Cop, you are a member as well. So shout out to you as well. Really makes a difference and keeps that motivation going for me. Very cool. So I had a talk with someone, and I say that a lot, but it was my wife. I had a talk with my wife not too long ago, this past week, and it was just kind of a realistic conversation. It was I got a call from someone saying, "Hey, look, there's a potential job opening here." Cool, So I had been looking. I've been applying for different places just to see what I can get, see what's out there. Not that I necessarily want to jump into the first thing. I have options right now. as many of you do right now. So you have options. You don't have to jump into the first thing that comes into your lap. You can um, take your time and figure out what you want to do exactly. So I've been putting my resume out there, and I had a legit conversation, like a sit down, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to jump back into a 9 to 5. I don't know if that is, I don't know if that's part of what I want to do. I'm curious if anybody else out there has that same mentality. After you've been out for so long, maybe after you've been doing your own thing, maybe you have your own business, maybe you've been looking to jump back into the workforce or something like that. Curious what your thoughts are. Like, is the 9 to 5 calling you? Is it something you really want to do? I just feel like those are like crucial hours for me to be able to do something else for my own mission, vice working for somebody else's mission. See here. I was probably naive, but I knew very little about VA benefits until I was retiring. I think living in a hyper-connected world sheds light on a whole new set of priorities for some. Yeah, everything is hyper-connected. You're absolutely right. And I mean, it can work both ways, right? I like jumping on AI and ChatGPT and asking it questions about, you know, business type questions, or I mean, there's a lot you can learn, a lot of stuff you might want to verify. But the good thing is, when it spits out information on there, it usually gives you a link to where it found it. So I can jump on that link and verify. And I'm all about like verifying the stuff first. Like I hate, there's too much crap out there. A lot of the shit that I see is like AI stuff. So I'm like, this is fake. I don't want to watch this. Randomly, I was watching goats falling off mountains yesterday on YouTube. I don't know why. Again, I get into these these rabbit holes. I was looking at videos on mountain goats, and randomly started watching. I mean, they look so agile when they go up, like so composed. And I got to thinking, do any of them ever fall off the mountain? Sure enough, there was an actual video of one falling off. I'm like, holy shit, that's freaking insane. Um, but anyway, I'll leave that there. Anyhow, um, yeah, hyper connected world, right? It's good to connect, but sometimes I think you need a breather from that stuff, because it can be overwhelming. It really can be overwhelming sometimes, and I find that there's fear of missing out, and for a while I was feeling that same thing when I took social media off my phone. I was feeling like, damn, what's happening? Because I can only access it from a desktop. Of course, I could just download it from the app store, like Facebook or whatever, or Instagram. But after a while, I was like, you know what? I don't care what people are posting. And then when I went back on there, I usually go on to answer messages or something like that on Facebook Messenger that I get, and I went back on there. I'm like, oh, it's the same old crap. People just posting same old things. Like, hey, look at me. We're at, I don't know, Universal Studios, or look at us. We're here. We're there. I'm like, oh, same old shit. I'm not missing anything. Whatever. So I think we are a little too hyper connected, and I think it's good to take a step back and to take a breather, and to just sometimes it's good to be alone. Just to chill out, think about what's going on without um, without this thing in front of your eyes. Let's see what we got going on here. Navy Cop says, trying to start my own business, looking to get another part-time job just to keep that extra income coming until I don't need to do it. Just not interested in the 9 to 5 these days. I'm not hating on that, man. I was also looking at it, a part-time job, just for the sole fact of getting out there and just talking to folks, talking to people, connecting with more folks. Now I get out, like I'm not a lonely person. I get out and talk to folks, you know. I stop by the VFW every so often. Whenever they have events, I'll stop by there. But I like the idea of a part-time job. You know, you get out, maybe you're doing something, work at the garden center or Lowe's or something like that, talk to folks. They give you a nice vest that says, you know, military veteran or whatever. And then that sparks conversation. Usually when I see those folks, I'm like, hey man, you served. Thank you for your service. You know, and then we build that connection. I love that. And they always stop by to talk, you know, so that's cool. Um, all about the part-time job. I'm curious, are you looking to get a part-time job in anything particular, Navy cop? Let's see what we got going on here. Getting blasted trying to get work in my field. Applied to work as an admin for a local PD. Reports admin evidence. Couldn't even get the interview, and that's what I did for 20 years. Wow. That, you know, don't you hate that? That, you know, you have the knowledge and experience, but you can't get your foot in the door. And I'm curious, why do you think that is? I know, well, I think I know. You've talked a little bit about it before, right? Um, at least you've talked to me about it before. You've mentioned it before. Um, but yeah, it's crazy how that works. And I think either they're hiring somebody internally and they have to put the announcement out there. But at least that's my thoughts on the times that I've applied to places where I thought I was a shoe in. I was like, shit, I've done this for many, many years. And all of a sudden, hey, we chose somebody else. Weird. Weird. Again, real quick, shout out to the folks who got out there and got it done and got your workout in this morning. It's all about physical wellness, making sure that you last as long as possible to continue continue receiving that VA disability check or whatever, or your that retirement check, or just living as long as possible to be around your loved ones. Shout out to the folks who went out there and got it done this morning. And if you're going to get it done later on today, shout out to you too. That's awesome. Keep it going. Navy Cop says, right now, nothing in particular, just a paycheck. I'm in Washington, ageism, DEI. I can't prove any of that, but the state has a history in bias in hiring. Just my 2 cents. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And how did well, I guess they can figure it out from the times that you served, and whatever your timeline is on the resume, right? How potentially how old you are, you know. It doesn't I've heard that a lot from a lot of folks about like, hey, as you get older, it's harder to find a job, you know, and shit, I'm 42. It's I've applied to many different places and, you know, I've not heard back, but along with that, there are other options to get your foot in the door, whether it be like more education on whatever you want to do, or even if you're looking to still continue receiving some kind of pay and continue learning something in the meantime. You know, there's things like the VRNE, which I think we talked about it quite some time for quite a bit. The VRNE, the post 9/11 GI Bill, stuff like that. There's another one. Gosh, the Department of Labor here in California. If anybody else out there is from California, I just found out sitting in that VA whole health appointment. I think it was last week. Sitting in that VA whole health appointment, they mentioned that the California Department of Labor will pay for your tuition. Now they don't give you the stipend like the E5 with dependent stipend, but they will pay for your tuition for jobs that are needed in California. So that's a good thing if you're in California, you've used up all your GI Bill, you have no you don't want to pay for tuition, you have no way of paying for it, they will pay for it. And curious if you have anything like that in your state, like the Department of Labor in your state, um, please post it in the comments because I'm all about the VA benefits and all that, getting the word out about this stuff. Please do that. Let me see. Navy cop says I was number one on the civil service list for police tech in my town, and they went with number two. I researched it, and they have to have a reason to bypass number one, but don't need to provide that reason. Go figure. You know what? I don't know if what I did was right or wrong, but I had an interview at this university. It was for the Veterans Center department head, and I, you know, I answered all their questions. I felt like I went in there. I had a good time actually. I explained what I do. I was like, "Hey, I run this." This is before the live streams. And I'm like, I run the military retirement group on Facebook. I run, these channels. I connect with a lot of veterans. I know, about the veteran community. I know about the military community. I'm all about education. I felt like I was the guy for that position. And then I got an email saying, "Hey, you were not chosen." And there was two open positions for that one. I was not chosen for either of them. And I'm wondering what the hell. So I emailed back to the human resources. I asked them, "Hey, I understand I wasn't chosen. I respect that. That's completely fine. But in an effort to better myself as an interviewee and my resume and future job openings, can you provide me with maybe some feedback, like an after action report, if you will, some feedback on why I wasn't chosen?" And I mean, this was like months ago. They never got back to me. All they said was, "Yeah, we'll talk to human resources about it. We'll get back to you." Never did. But I wish that was a thing, right? Where they had to explain, like, "Hey, you were not chosen because." I mean, it could be something as simple as, "Hey, the other candidate had more education, more experience, or whatever." Um, but I'm like, okay, well, I have the education, I have the experience. I don't know what else I'm doing. Did I wig out during the interview? Did I have a 1,000-yard stare during the interview? Oh man. But yes, I mean, sometimes it's like that, and you just got to roll with it, right? You got to roll with the punches, and you can't let that stuff get you down. Because if it does, then you got more problems. Because then you're never gonna want to continue moving ahead. It's just a little hurdle. That just means that position at this point in time was not meant for me in my life. What is meant for me will come to me. I firmly believe that. I think I mentioned it before. Like it. Just to think about this, how everybody's life story is completely different. How my life story was completely different growing up here, going there. What I did in my teen years. Everything, everything led up to me sitting here right now. You sitting there right now. We're having this conversation. Everything in our life, the deployments, the good times, the bad times, the PT, all the BS, all the leadership failures, the leadership struggles, all the crap that we've been through has led to this moment right here. Us sitting down together, sipping coffee and having this conversation. It says HR will not provide information whatsoever. I had to go to my boss to find out why I missed out on an interview for an internal position, and he was limited with what he could say. Ain't that some BS, man? Mr. Rob, what's going on? How you doing, man?
Good morning. How you doing, Vic?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing well, man. I can't complain, dude. I feel good. I feel good. It's all
Yeah,
about the workout in the morning.
yeah. That what a great way to start the day, huh? Just your endorphins are going.
Yeah,
it's like the perfect day to or a perfect way to wake up. Kind of get you.
absolutely. Get the hard part out first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day is smooth sailing.
Yeah,
It should
absolutely.
be, at least. I hope so.
Helps you sleep at night too, because
It does.
if
It
you,
does.
I mean, I don't know if it's true. It is for me, at least. If you work out, I feel like the later I work out, the more like agitated isn't the word, but it's just like the more excited like my nerves are and whatnot, so
Yeah.
I feel like I have to kind of decompress before I actually fall asleep.
Yeah. I found that I cannot, if I do a workout too late, I can't sleep well.
Yeah, that's what I was basically trying to say is
Yeah.
it's early.
I don't know what
The
it is.
earlier you do it, the better off I feel like. Yeah.
So I've gone through that, just trying to figure out where the nice workout is. But shit, I've been doing it for so long. I'm like, hey, the first thing in the morning is where it's at. But it really does set you up for the day, as far as like, hey, everything, do the shitty thing first. Everything else will be all right.
Yeah, for
Hell
sure.
yeah. So curious, man. I know you're retired,
Mm-hmm.
doing your thing. And have we talked about it before? I can't recall, like the 9 to 5 thing, because Navy Cop was bringing some good information on there, and I've had my experiences with applying to different places. Not that I want to get into somewhere like ASAP. Like I feel like I've saved enough to take like a year off if I wanted to, and potentially find something else that I really want to do. But are you looking to get into something else after retirement?
So my dream job is actually what you were just describing,
Mhm.
with the college and like the Veterans Resource Center, Education
Yeah.
Center, whatever the school names it. And that story that you just shared, I have the identical story from
Really?
about a month ago. I interviewed, and it was I would describe it as a fun conversation,
Yeah.
more so than a scrutinizing experience. And when I left, I felt like they were moving me in already. They were talking
Yeah,
about
right?
the daily operations, and they'd love to have me. And the person in this role didn't speak the language, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The language of education
Military.
benefits.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's something that I had done while in. I was in ESO, and I felt like it was more of just a really productive conversation as opposed to an interview. And this happened on a Monday. It was a few weeks ago, and I got the rejection email on Friday. So they didn't even have enough time to offer the job to somebody external. So I have no inside knowledge whatsoever, but I have to think that it was an internal hire, because at the end of the day, it was a state job, and they do have their I guess not goals but priorities. So I left it alone, and onto the next thing. If anything, it was a learning experience. I felt like it built confidence if I get another opportunity for something similar, and just move on. But if it doesn't happen, I'm also pretty comfortable just staying retired as well. It's just I don't want to bore myself. That's my main thing.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Big thing is the boredom.
Yeah.
And so it's I know exactly what you mean with that job thing, and it felt like they were bringing you on board already.
Yeah.
Because when I did my interview, they asked me, "Oh, have you gone down to see the Veterans Center already?" I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. I went down right before here. So I met with the VP of whatever education. I don't know what her role was, and then some other doctor who was there, and had the interview with these two folks. But the manager for the Veteran Center, the person that I would be essentially replacing, right? Because this person was moving elsewhere. Um, she was like, "Oh yeah, you're the one. Yeah, yeah, you got a great resume. Let me show you where your office would be. This is your office where it would be, and nice view of like the hillside, and just kind of walk me through." And she's like, "Oh, this is Joe. He does great things. I'm shaking this dude's hand. I'm like, Joe, great to meet you, man. Looking forward to working with you potentially." And it felt like freaking family. It felt like they were going to bring me on, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, you know when I don't know if you did it, but I think it's pretty common practice. You've kind of follow up with an email, just thanking them for their time to interview.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. So I sent it the next day. I sent it on Tuesday, and then on, I want to say Thursday morning. If not, it was Wednesday morning. But I believe I had to sit on it for 2 days. So, I mean, at most, it was 2 days before my rejection letter, but I think it was one. I got a reply, and it was from the chair of the interview, essentially, and she was high up in the department, and it wasn't a canned narrative. It was very specific to our interview. So it was thanking me for being well prepared, and it's obvious that my passion for that mission is evident, and my values and my experience align greatly with the institution, and we'll definitely be in touch as we move forward with the process. And then it was immediately bang, like what the. So
yeah. You showed too much passion, man. You see, that's the problem. You should not have entered the interview with low crawl. You gotta you gotta walk in.
But
oh man.
I'm at peace with at least thinking that it was internal, and you can't avoid that. I mean, I don't think even the chair can avoid that. They probably have if I had to guess, they have their external recommendations, and then they probably have their internal as well. And it was too fast of a rejection to have offered that in letter form for the 3-day window that they give you to reply and negotiate. It was way too fast for all that. So
I'm not gonna believe it'd be internal.
Yeah, they had to. So I'm at
they just got to put the announcement out there. Yeah, by law. Yeah, I mean the best interview I've had was for that federal position that I had. It was a facilities division head. It was a GS-13, and it was like a Zoom type of interview, MS Teams or something. Kind of everybody going around asked me questions, which was fine because I'm like, I've done facility stuff, I've done emergency preparedness and all that. And then they sent me an email, asked me, hey, with a scenario, blah blah blah, this is happening, what would you do in this scenario? Which kind of mirrors almost exactly what happened when I went into the job. Hey, Doge came through, everybody had to go leave from teleworking to the office. So a similar scenario. What would you do if everybody had to come back to office and there was issues with the facilities, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, here's what I would do. I'm very well versed in this because I used to work hand in hand with Navy facilities to get stuff done. So I put it all out there in a whole page and all that. The evening after I got that interview, that same evening, I was at my kid's Little League practice, and I got a call from the manager, the GS-15. She's like, hey, I want to personally offer you this position.
Wow.
I'm like, you're the one. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. That was the quickest turnaround I've ever had, but for good reason, because they were actually going to be bringing people back from telework, and they're like, fuck, we need somebody ASAP, right? Who knows what the hell they're doing? But that was a good experience. But after that, it's been kind of a hit and miss thing, hit and miss.
Yeah, and I'm getting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm only applying to the jobs that um, that would mean something to me. So I'm not gonna work 9 to 5 and not enjoy it.
Right.
Just I feel like as retirees, that's one of the luxuries we have is we don't have to do that. There isn't as much pressure. So I am getting responses here and there, not to all of them by any stretch, but if anything else, it's more practice, and I treat every single one of them like, obviously not a training, but a learning experience, and just I feel like the right opportunity will come at the right time. Everything happens for a reason. So.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, you can't rush it. I was just posed with an opportunity last week, and it seemed like it was with a startup, and it seems like a good opportunity on the outside looking in. And as I got more information on it, I really had to take a step back. Like, do I really want to take on this? For one, it's not my own personal mission, right? Like, the mission is cool. I believe in it, but it is a heavy lift. So I'm like, do I want to put that heavy of a lift on my shoulders for something that may not play out? I don't know, that I may not get paid up front for, but I'll have to wait 6 months to see if it flourishes. So that is something I'm playing around with right now. Essentially being a partner on this thing. And it grew from, hey, we want you to do this one thing, to not just this one thing, but we need you for marketing. We need you for this. They need you for that. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. Seriously think about it. So yeah, you hit it right in the head, man. We have right now the luxury of, I call it a luxury, but I mean, I don't know what else I would call it, but the luxury of having options, of not having to jump into one thing. And I think that's amazing, dude. Just because of the decisions that we made in our teens and in our 20s, in our 30s, man, it is awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it is a luxury. The one constant for the rest of our lives is that we're going to have a steady income. That is, is it the richest salary? No, absolutely not. But it's, I think we can all agree that it's at least a respectable one. And depending on your rank and background and years in, it might be more than some of the starting salaries of friends that we got on the outside. So I feel like it does take a little bit of the pressure off. I still would feel complete, I think, if I found the right thing that I want to do for a second career, second act. But it's, I guess it's worth waiting for.
Yeah, I agree, man. Gosh, I had a talk with a cousin. So my cousin is in the Marine Corps. I have two cousins in the Marine Corps. One's a Lance Corporal in E3. The other one is I think he's an E6. He's about to pin on E6, drill instructor.
Oh wow!
And I've had conversations. They reach out because they're like, hey, you've been there and you've done that. Like, you've done the long haul of 20 years, right? So they have their mentors in uniform, but they also kind of reach out to me sometimes via text. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm thinking about doing this, thinking about doing that. I'm like, hey, do whatever you can. Do what your freaking heart desires, because right now is the time to make those decisions, man. You're young enough. One of them has a family, the other one doesn't. So you're young enough to do it. Do everything you want. But what I will tell you is, stay in. If you're not broken, it seems like they got pretty good leadership. So it's not like they're struggling. Like if you're not completely broken and then you enjoy your leadership and you think they're all right, and as long as you're having fun with it, you got a good team, good type folks with you, stay in for the long haul, because you will kick yourself in the ass if you get out at 10 years and then you get an invitation to go to one of your buddies' retirements 10 years later and you're like, damn, that I could have been in this man's shoes, which
I actually had
happened to me.
I had a friend of mine, and before I go down a rabbit hole, that's a really great thing that that you said, a Lance Corporal. So
yeah, one of my cousins is Lance, and the other one's a sergeant, about to pin on staff sergeant here.
Yeah, so your cousin that's about to pin on staff sergeant. I mean, he's probably fully immersed in the culture now. Like that's if he's not making it a career, he's at least thinking about it at this point. But a Lance Corporal's a E4, is that
E3?
Oh, E3. Okay, yeah. I mean, when I was in E3, I wasn't taking any career advice at that point. I either knew everything or could care less. Like I'd love to talk to that E3 Rob at that, Seaman Rob at this point, but I would have done a few things differently. But I think that's great that he's got the maturity to reach out to the resources that are at least in family, And if he's reaching out to you, he's probably reaching out to his leadership as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So a lot of good decisions ahead, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell was I talking about? I already lost my train of thought.
Sounds like you got to drink more coffee.
Yeah, I know it. That's why I backpedaled before I could screw that up. But Navy Cop had written into
Let's see what
into the
let's go
chat.
to the comments here real quick.
And he
my retirement won't pay until 60. Is in just under 3 years. Got to bridge that gap between now and then. Yeah. So reservists, I assume.
He mentioned one before that, Vic, that it kind of resonated with me. Yeah, that one there. So I agree wholeheartedly. I don't think a rejection of that magnitude, especially if and I'll start off by saying, as my rejection email for the experience I just shared, that was a canned human resources response. So I completely get that. I don't think that should be a mass-produced reply for something that has that much, potential impact with somebody, especially when previous dialogue and discussion had been so one-on-one.
Yeah.
And if policies get in the way or whatever the case is, or maybe even their decision process gets in the way, I still feel like the time someone puts in, especially if it's a good interview, is worth a more,
absolutely
personal advisement. And I get it that they might be dealing with hundreds of people, but somebody had to input your email, and I think it just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, and that could go a long way, because I get it that rejection, especially when it's not to you, it's not from any one person, it's from a cookie jar account that sends it out, and then has the audacity to tell you good luck in your future endeavors, like you give a shit,
Right. Yeah, it could be a little bit more personalized there, like somebody with some kind of human emotion, like, hey, we understand that you took the time and the effort to come in and share your experiences and all that, but unfortunately we went with another candidate, something to that effect, like not a canned
Yeah, that would be, and that
yes.
wouldn't take a hit on your confidence either. That would acknowledge that you did something, you prepared for this, and then
right.
But I get it. Yeah, I had personal experiences all the way up to that point, and then it was like, bam. So.
Yeah, like if you're making me wear my suit and tie in freaking 90-degree San Diego weather, I expect a freaking email that says, "Hey, why you reject me?" Right? But unfortunately, that is what it is, man. That's the business practices, and you can't do much about that, right? And I was getting down, similar to what Navy Cop was saying. Like I was getting down on myself when I was getting like the rejection emails. Not that I wanted to get these jobs, particularly when I left the service, but I was I just wanted to see what else was out there. So I was just mass applying to all these other positions. And then when I started seeing these emails, like rejection emails, I was like, damn. I mean, have already being in a job, just trying to see what else was out there. It kind of really opened it up. Like, damn, am I not qualified for these jobs? Like, what the hell is going on? But it got put into perspective. Like, hey, they're probably hiring internally, like you mentioned. Maybe they just have to put the announcement out there for legal reasons, right? Or maybe they have other candidates who are better qualified than me, more education, more time with folks, hands-on stuff. So who knows? Who knows? When I had that last interview with that veteran center, I told them about the green logbook and stuff. So I'm wondering, like, what if they saw the one video where I'm like just pissed off and talking shit on here, and they're like, "That's not the guy we want." And I was just laughing about it. I was like, of course, they probably saw that one video,
Yeah, I know with my own, there were. I mean, I'm competing against unions, so not unions themselves, but union rules, and I get it. I'm perfectly fine with that. That's somebody was able to get through whatever challenges or barriers there were in place at that time to get to that position. So if that's part of the the union contract or the collective bargaining, that's just something I personally are going to have to deal with, and the right opportunity will present itself at some point. But I just wish they could tell you that, rather than, because this is all supposition. Only because I felt so good about my prospects with that one interview. And I do know that when I was applying, like you obviously have your resume and your cover letter and everything. But when I was applying, it was asking if I'm part of one of, I think, 4 different unions, in that line of work within the state. And I wasn't, but it wasn't a hit or miss question, whatever they call those supplemental questions. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got a call in the first place. So I think getting an interview in the first place is a win. Having a good interview is a win. And if I'm reflecting in a positive note, I'd say that I got 2 wins and 1 loss out of that one job. So better days ahead.
Yeah. And I was getting some shit myself when my wife and I have a really good relationship, and I talk to her a lot about stuff. And she's also kind of a deep thinker, and she kind of, we kind of reflect and bounce ideas off each other and all that. So when I told her about that whole interview, like, oh, I feel like it went great. And then I told her subsequently, I got the rejection. And she's like, I'm wondering if you put on that stupid charm that you do. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I'll walk in and I got this thing, like, I can be introverted, and I feel like I am, but there's a thing within me where I can just turn it on. And, I'm over here, like, shaking hands, like, hey, tell me about your kids, this and that, just like kind of getting too much into it. And she's like, you do this freaking charm thing that it doesn't work for everybody. Like you get too involved with things and, overly nice. And I'm like, well, maybe I did do that just to make it feel like, hey, I'm the guy that you want in this position because I'm a team player. So they can see me on their team. But maybe that worked against me. I don't know. But the second she said that, I was like, oh hell no! Here we go. Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know. I think. I mean, I only know you from talking to you on these live streams, but if I were a student and had access to that resource center, I think that's exactly what I would want. Like the whole goal is to get a community into their center, right? And
exactly.
use their resources and be taught. So if you're kind of a stick in the mud, you don't gain that, especially a student base, you're not going to gain that audience. So I think the welcoming and just an overall being a nice person and a nice welcoming person is exactly what that kind of position would want. Who friendly and knowledgeable. So
yeah, why not? I mean, I figured, who doesn't want this like retired chief warrant officer who just walk around and do his rounds in the morning at work with a coffee mug, just walking around to people's offices. How was your weekend? Okay, stop. You're incriminating yourself. Next. Well, how was your weekend? How was your weekend? I've actually had to put a stop on people. Oh, sir, I went to the Double Deuce and I saw this stripper. I'm like, all right, pause. Have you talked to Stafford about this yet before you talk to me?
That's funny.
You got those knuckleheads out there, man. Yeah. Let me see. Just going to the comments here really quick. Navy Cop's on his game, man. Filling up these comments here. My understanding from the work source vet rep that gave me the info on the outreach position, and his understanding is they picked someone from the East Coast that took a massive pay cut for the job. Wow. You don't see that too often. And then doesn't help my understanding of the whole hiring process. It's PFM to me. PFM. What is PFM? I'm drawing a blank there. Not sure. You know what was news to me yesterday, and I didn't know that you could do this. Again, my wife is a federal employee, and she had mentioned that they were bringing somebody on from overseas to work at her location, and they paid for the PCS over as a federal position. They paid for the PCS, but then this person contacted the hiring manager and said, I want to negotiate other things within that. So not just the PCS. They negotiated 3 months of her mortgage payment or her rent, and because apparently that the position was needed to be filled ASAP, and this person fit everything that they were looking for. They negotiated 3 months of the rent for the offgoing rent, right? They negotiated a clothing allowance of several thousands of dollars, right? To the tune of 70 grand for PCS and everything in order for the person to come on board. And not just that, it's like a GS-12 position or something, right? So I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know you can negotiate all of those things. I guess everything's on the table at that point. So it got me rubbing my little chin. I was like, just see what else I can get when it comes to like federal employment, if I do go that route again. Because the only thing I negotiated was being former military was the leave time. I think that was it. They're like, hey, instead of 4 hours or whatever, you get 6 hours. I'm like, cool, I can do that.
Yeah.
That got me thinking. I was like, I suppose everything is negotiable. You just have to throw it out there. And what are they going to say? No. I mean, they already offered you the job.
Yeah. I feel like it takes a long time in most cases to get hired with the government. I feel like that's generally,
it does.
From my experience anyway, and I'm only seeing one organization, but it's takes time, and for as long as it takes, I would think that you just kind of like you get off the job, fine, I'll take it. I just need to stop working. That's interesting.
It is. And then like I went to, what was it, when I took the Doge thing, the DRP.
Yeah.
I had, so the federal, for new supervisors and like the federal employment, they assign you a mentor, and mine was this, I don't know, former GS-14 who's now on the payroll again. Very knowledgeable lady, knows a ton of people, very well networked, right? And when she's like, hey, yeah, I heard that they were going to kick you out of the job for the second time, I was like, yeah, it is what it is. I don't know. I'll figure something else out. And she's like, hey, my son-in-law is the GS-15 over at Department of Homeland Security here, like somewhere in SoCal. And I'm like, really? She's like, let me give him a call. I was like, all right, cool. That's where the networking piece came in. And sure enough, the next week, I'm talking to this guy via text and all that, and stopped by his office, and he's like, Vic, I know you're looking for like a GS-13 position, but I'm really looking at this 14 position for you, man, because I think you fit it. I was like, that's awesome. This was months ago. I've not heard from the guy since. Right? It's like, because during the hiring freeze.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, yeah, it's we need somebody to take charge on this. I was like, cool. I'm down for it. Whatever. Never heard from it again. Then I emailed the guy. I'm like, hey, what's the status of this? He's like, still working through the hiring stuff. May happen, may not happen. I'm not putting my, all my chips in that bag. But I'm like, okay, that kind of gave me the idea, like, okay, I'm still like worth something to some organizations out there, not like I need to go work at Lowe's or something because I have to. There's still some worth there. So folks out there who are kind of getting down on themselves, just it may just take a little bit of networking, or just the just keep trying. That next one might be it. And if I didn't have a talk with that lady that morning, I would have never like actually connected, though I don't even have that job, but I would have never connected with this dude who's like, yeah, we can probably get you in here. So power networking, man. It's a big thing.
Yeah, I would
meet somebody. Go ahead.
I would recommend just be patient with that one, because there are a lot of freezes. Like a friend of mine retired when I retired, except he was in civil service. And his position has actually been like shopped a few times, interviews taken place, but they're in a hiring freeze as well. So it is kind of a unique time from what I hear. And his is a pretty important role in what I was doing around here. So I think I don't know if it's something that's worth waiting around for, or at least worth pursuing if the opportunity presents itself. I think it will probably be shopped. It probably is in fact being frozen right now.
Yeah. And I was talking to another retiree who has jumped on the live stream before, and he mentioned he's a Walmart security officer. Like he's like manages that security stuff for Walmart.
Yeah, it rings a bell. Yeah, I do remember seeing that.
And the dude said he likes the job. He walks a lot in the job, right? So he gets steps in and all that. Sometimes he has to deal with the crazies at Walmart, right? But it seems like a cool gig. Like I'm all about watching people to see what they're doing, right? I'm all about that stuff. I'm like, maybe I need to jump into that gig. But that was on my radar as well. Walmart security officer. Yeah, man.
I was looking at that Lowe's gig too that you mentioned, because I hadn't seen the special vest in person until a couple of weeks ago, and this gentleman had a camouflage vest, like the veteran, and he had his pins on it. I want to say he was probably in his 50s tops, but he was speaking to somebody else, and then somebody else came into the conversation. Felt like it looked like he was networking and having some friendly conversations. Majority of the time that I was there, and which was awesome. And then I look back at some of their expectations, and that's actually one of them. It's to be able to engage the customer base, and have those friendly conversations, and build that camaraderie, almost build that community. And then the next time you need a hammer, where are you going to go? Oh, you're going to go to go see Fred. That sort of thing.
Go see Fred over at the exactly. And yes. I love that.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, you bring up that good point, man. It's that whole networking camaraderie thing, even at Lowe's, right? I've seen these. I mean, they're like older gentlemen that work at the garden department or whatever. They're walking around right where I live. They're wearing their camouflage vest and all that. And I'm like, man, I could do that. Just walk around and talk to people all day. Fuck, why not? Hey, you need help finding this? Yeah, it's over here. By the way, man, what you serve, whatever. You got that little hat on, whatever. I like that. I like that for the sole fact that you can connect with folks.
Yeah,
very cool.
It's come across my mind as well. I like talking.
Do it, dude. Why not? Like, just to try it out. Just for a few, you get hired easy, man. Veteran, come on now. At Lowe's, come on. Be good.
You did mention trying to learn more about Vietnam from first person. I know you're a reader, and there's a couple books I'd recommend.
Put them out here. Where's my pen?
So one of them is sorry, I got my light in front of me.
Dear America.
Dear America, Letters Home from Vietnam. Now, this became a documentary several years ago, and I think it was Judd Nelson that was like the commentator. They did a great job in the documentary. It doesn't hold a candle to the book, especially if you're a reader. It's just these are first person accounts, and they're pretty moving, some of them. So I definitely recommend that one. And then there's another one that I came across, and it's called Every Mother's Son, and it's 77 Days at Khe Sanh, which was a famous battle in Vietnam. It was when aviation fob was attacked at Khe Sanh. So it's a memoir, very, very well written. And I'd recommend them.
Oh, very cool, man. Yeah, I got them written down here. Hey, give me 1 second, Rob.
Yeah.
Bugging my son for another cup of coffee here, man. I'm already done with mine. No, that is I love that. I'm very curious about the Vietnam, because I do see a lot of folks with the Vietnam veteran hats, right? And I go to the VA every so often. I'm now doing that class there on Tuesdays, and it's not like a mandatory class. It's just the flute thing, right? Just to connect with folks, and the fact that they were talking about their story, about the depression, about the guy was like, hey, I'm the loneliness around the holidays is real, separated from his family. His wife passed away, it's just, it's a whole thing, a lot of stuff. And he's like, what I find solace, I find refuge and hanging out. You guys are my friends, you know. And I'm like, you know, it hit hard, you know, it really did. Because I'm like, all right, well, we're potentially the only people that he really talks to or hangs out, you know. And every time I'm there, I feel like I've seen this guy before. Whenever I've been out there, just like random days that I go, you know. But yeah, that interests me, man. It really does. Like the whole Vietnam era, just to know what people are thinking and their experiences. I'm not going to pry into it much because they may not want to talk about it, but it's whatever they want to share. But I like that, man. Dear America, letters home from Vietnam, every mother's son. I'm looking at my bookshelf here, see what other books I might have. I don't have many on Vietnam. I probably should have some. I got a lot of like philosophy and stoicism, but I just picked up the Odyssey. But aside from that, yeah, I probably should get into some more of that whole Vietnam era type reading.
Yeah,
usually just what I read online.
They were tough times, so I feel like it's one of those topics that wasn't really safe to talk about from a first person for so long until we grew up as a society and learned to sort of celebrate them rather than kind of shut the door, you know what I mean? So I feel like those some of the best ones I've read were probably written within the last 15, 20 years, because the majority of Vietnam vets are old men. My dad's a Vietnam vet, and he's in his late 70s. I want to say he was 19 when he went over. So to put it into perspective, that's an older generation now. So I feel like if there's a time to get this story out, it's now, and that's why I jump all over those memoirs or those opportunities to read it firsthand before it's it's still with us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree. Like when I was living in Hawaii, the big thing over there was like the Pearl Harbor survivors, folks who fought in that. And that really kind of sparked my interest in Pearl Harbor. Like before I was in Hawaii, I mean, you as well as you were out there before I was in Hawaii. I never really thought about it too much. Like I've seen the movies, you know, but then when I got out there and I saw the actual like bullet holes on the side of buildings and like on the hangars, you know, and I started reading about like the events, how like they notified this dude and he didn't notify folks and all that, and how it all came about. Then I started going to like the Pearl Harbor Memorial, you know, and then I went out to, you know, like the other ones that, what's the other one? Like the Hiroshima Memorial when I was out there, and Nagasaki and all that. All that stuff kind of started sparking my interest in all these old veterans and all that. And I got to meet some of them during some events when we were out there at the memorials in Hawaii. It was just incredible to be able to speak to folks and get their firsthand experience on what they actually saw, and just horrific events, man. But the fact that they were there talking to me after all that was freaking incredible, man. You know, the one gentleman I spoke with, I can't remember, he wrote a book, or he had somebody write a book for him. He just kind of talked to the person. I got to pick that up because, you know, the Pearl Harbor thing just kind of resonates with me, man. I have to do more reading on wars. Like after I left the military, I donated so many books. I'm like, I wish I would have kept these things. A lot of them were like commandant reading books and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm never going to read this stuff. Let me try something else out. I'm like, I wish I would have kept this trash, because not trash, but I wish I would have kept this stuff, because now I'm looking back. I'm like, now I have to buy this stuff again. But no, good stuff, man. I'm always down for a good read. Always looking to put something new on my list for 2026. The goal is one book a month. I'm not trying to overstep the boundaries. Last year it was a book a week, and I quickly found that I was not going to hit that. So yeah, a book a month, dude. That's it.
And that's 12 books a year. You know, that's
doable.
That's substantial reading. So yeah, definitely doable. But you know, there's a lot of wisdom to be gained from 12 books a year. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and dude, I'm a slow reader myself.
Me too.
I'm a slow reader, and then you know, I'll sit back there on my couch here and just kind of put my feet up on this ottoman I bought and just read, right? I put on some like lo-fi music or classical music or something like that in the background, just kind of set the mood, the vibe. But I'm a slow reader. I like to underline and highlight stuff in the books. And I found one time I got a book from the library and I started like highlighting shit. And I'm like, oh, damn, I got to return this thing. My bad. But yeah, I find that's the only way I can digest the information is by doing that. Because if not, I'm the type of guy who reads the same sentence over and over and over again because I just don't really like. I read it, but nothing got absorbed, so I got to read it again. Nothing got absorbed, I got to read it again. So it really helps out.
Yeah.
Are you a big nonfiction reader?
I am. Yeah, I like. I'm also a pretty big history buff. I do like fiction as well.
Yeah.
I'm actually the kid in me still really loves and appreciates comic books. That's been like a lifelong hobby of mine. So I do.
That's cool, man.
I do still read a lot of graphic novels and what have you, trade paperbacks. But I've always appreciated the art. As well as I'm not the biggest I don't have anything against Marvel movies like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or any of that.
Right.
It's just that my whole life I had their voices in my head a certain way. I had their mannerisms in my head a certain way.
Right.
And there were very few times where that actually aligned with how I, how I saw that. A couple of cases where it did though was the Punisher series that was on Netflix. That was pretty spot on with how I remembered Frank Castle. Spider-Man, that's exactly how I would have described him. You know, just kind of a cocky kid.
What about Venom? Curious.
I haven't seen the movie.
No?
But that series, like I think it was Secret Wars, which was the first appearance of Venom, I believe. But it looked very similar to that series. So I got to get out and watch that.
It's pretty good. I watched it a couple times with my kids, and it's pretty good. I like. I mean, Tom Hardy plays a good character there, and Venom kind of takes over him, right? Like, hey, I want to do this instead of that. You know, let's go do this. You know, and takes over his mind or his body, whatever. But good. I think they have several Venoms out. I thought it was maybe two Venoms, part 1, part 2.
Probably, yeah. So during the pandemic, we were watching as a family. My daughter also likes comics as well. My wife does not, but she likes the movies. So like that was something we were doing as a family. But I started getting kind of lost. It was there's a way you can watch them that they're in the order of sequence. That's not actually, the first, second, third. And I couldn't keep up anymore. They were going into storylines that were like way beyond my my memorization or a familiarity with the characters. But
dude, like the what was the multiverse? These movies where they all come together. I can't wrap my head around that stuff, man. I'm
I
like, there's
can't
too much
either.
going on.
That's way too
much
much
going
going on for me. And
Yeah, I was like, my kids are all excited. I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? This guy's coming out of nowhere. This dude was over here. Iron Man's flying in from somewhere. What is happening?
yeah, my favorite of all time, my favorite series of all time was it was a Marvel series called Tomb of Dracula. And it was actually a little bit before my time, but I really jumped on the old issues that I picked up at like antique stores or thrift stores.
Yeah.
And then subsequently the trade paperbacks. And Tomb of Dracula was actually the first appearance of Blade the Vampire Hunter. And that's what those Wesley Snipes movies were before the Marvel cinematic universe. And I keep hearing rumors that they're going to make a Blade MCU movie that's just constantly delayed. But that one, I would definitely pay to see that, and I'd probably pay to see the preview, because I was all in on that series. I think it was about 80 issues total, all happening before I was born, but just a great
that's cool,
great storyline. Yeah,
I mean, I like the movie Blade. I remember watching it.
Yeah,
they're all
me
dancing
too.
in the nightclub, and then like the bloodbath dance.
Yeah,
the blood comes down. They're all the vampires are like that. And yeah, I'm big fan of Blade. I haven't watched it in many years, but big fan of that one.
Yeah, my understanding is they're gonna make a. I think I heard that he's already been like a brief appearance at the end of something, or at least mentioned, but there's supposed to be a Blade movie, but they've been saying it for like 3 or 4 years now. So I'll just wait it out.
Yeah. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate from folks that maybe were watching, or even friends of mine who love this stuff, but I can't get into the Star Wars thing. I've tried it. I fall asleep during the stuff. I don't know. I got a friend of mine who is like, he goes to Disney and he made his own freaking saber and all that stuff. He's all about this shit, and he's got like the costumes, and I'm like, I can't do it, man. I can't get into it. I just can't. I don't know. Are you a fan of that? Star Wars?
I'm not in the sense that you're describing. Like I like the original movies.
Yeah.
I liked the Mandalorian series that they had. And then there's a bunch of one-off, but that's another one I can't keep up with. I'm not the fan that knows the character names outside of the original movies.
Right.
I'm probably an ignorant fan, I guess you could call it, and I'm not just sold on, not because they're the originals and I refuse to grow up with it. I just, I haven't gone out and seen every single tie-in film, and I'd be starting from scratch. That's strictly the basis of it, but I do like science fiction. I just, I didn't jump on that one.
Yeah, I couldn't get into that one, man. I tried, and then I started talking to my buddy about it. He's like, "Oh, because this person is this person, and that is that." And then I'm like, "You lost me already, dude. I don't know. There's too many.
That's
like you mentioned, too many tie-ins.
Yeah,
too many tie-ins, dude."
When it comes to characters, I need to see them the same all the time for me to remember who they are. When it's different ages, or they turn into something, and I'm gonna stop forgetting. I'm just considering them their own character. But
I'm like, I got enough things I got to keep up with, man. I can't keep up with this trash. But yeah, man, the sci-fi. I think Navy Cop also mentioned says old school sci-fi and fantasy, and some sci-fi military fiction are my major areas, though I like some ancient history and legends. I'm trying to expand my genre interests. So I'll tell you, I started a while back, I started a YouTube channel, another one. I like history, military history. I like the like the historical fiction type of things, certain ones, right? What could happen, different scenarios and things like that. And I started this YouTube channel. Um, I won't share the name of it for the fact that like I stopped uploading stuff on there. But essentially, what it is, it's like telling stories around a fire, around like a fire pit, and essentially it'd be like stories about um, ancient Greece, or ancient Rome, or Polynesian warriors or something like that. Just like different eras, different types of warriors, different mindsets, different upbringings, and things like that. 5-minute stories with the sole idea of, these are like actual things that interest me. Maybe somebody else is interested in it. I don't know. But after making like 10 videos and like getting 0 views and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, it's more of a thing for me now. Nobody else is nobody else is interested in this shit, you know. But yeah, just sharing stories. I think that's like a lost art, man. Like sharing stories, sharing tales. They don't have to be like completely true, but like fiction. Or I think back to like the Native American type ways, like you sit around a fire, talk about your stories, talk about, histories, families, and all that stuff, how information was passed onward like that. And that was the premise of that. But I'm like, it never caught on really. So, but that's one thing I do love is the historical fiction. I don't know where I'm going with that, but just kind of like sitting around a fire, talking stories, especially with the kids. Love that stuff, man. I just can't get into sharing Star Wars stories around the fire. That's not my jam.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of when it started. I think it's when Disney took over. It started. I feel like there was a different movie every year.
Starting getting too commercialized, maybe.
Maybe that's what I couldn't keep up. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep up.
I tell you, I did have, you mentioned Mandalorian. I did have a Marine, a corporal, E4, who was at my last duty station. And this dude had this writing on his arm, tattooed on his arm. And I was trying to figure out what language it was. It was Mandalorian language. And it was tattooed in his eye. It looked kind of like Arabic or something. I'm like, what? But it was like characters I'd never seen before. I'm like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's the Mandalorian stuff. I'm like, oh. And I'm thinking, that's not a real thing, dude. You just put that shit on your body forever.
Yeah. Hopefully he's a fan for life.
Oh man, I couldn't, man. I'm like, just go. Just go. Yeah. Like, yeah, some of these tattoos that these cats get, I have to wonder, like, did you ask somebody before you got it? Like, does it look good? Should I get this? So Navy Cop says David Drake has a good old series called Hammers Slammers, military sci-fi. C.S. Foresters are always a good read, very detailed, but Napoleonic era. Bernard Cornwell with the Sharps series. I'm gonna have to check those out, man. Navy Cop, man, you got some good stuff there. Definitely. Yeah, I've not been into much sci-fi myself. I just can't. I couldn't get into it too much for some reason. I guess I've not given it a chance. When I think of sci-fi, I think of like Avatar, and I freaking can't stand Avatar. So
there's I mean, science fiction is so broad. Like it can be space, it can be mythical creatures. Yeah. I guess you either like it or you don't.
Yeah, I do like Andy Weir's The Martian. That's a good one.
The sci-fi author I used to like, maybe Navy Cop is. I think his name was Terry Pratchett or something like that. But he mixed sci-fi and humor.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot of satire, like a lot of dark humor as you're reading about these various like other worlds. And I did like that. I did read those for quite a while.
Terry Pratchett.
With comics, it was more of a combination of the art. Like I always appreciated the artwork, especially how fast they could ink and come up with a storyline. And then it was an adolescent love that just kind of developed over time, and I still find it very very soothing, very decompressing, I guess you could say. I feel like a comic uses all your senses, including the sense of smell, because if you pick up an old book, it's going to smell like almost musty.
Old. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I like. I love the artwork. I have some fine liners, and I've tried that artwork, like the artistic methods of drawing comics and stuff, and it's difficult to do. It is. It's not easy enough with the shading and all that stuff. But to come up with a storyline as well, that's an art all in itself.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that, man. That's I do like that. There's I like the anime, the Japanese anime stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like watching or seeing. I mean, we watch it here as well. Stuff like got One Punch Man, stuff like that, and you got the older ones like Dragon Ball Z and all that. So I like watching those. But the comics, man, that's an art onto itself. Like I read that, and you ever read? This is a comic. It's a funny one. It's a Marine Corps comic called Terminal Lance.
No, I haven't.
Terminal Lance. So it's all about like Marine Corps, like dumb things that they do in the Marine Corps.
Oh, I gotta get something like that for my dad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Terminal Lance, right? And do you know what that means? Like when they say Terminal Lance, like you're never gonna get past terminal, or you never get past Lance Corporal. You're always gonna be a Lance Corporal, right? Terminal Lance. So, the first exposure that I had to that comic book was when a Marine came up to me, and he showed me. It was a clip from it, a little snippet that was drawn, and it was like, hey, for the birthday cake, first off, we have during the Marine Corps Ball, you give the first piece of cake to the youngest Marine, and the next piece of cake to the oldest, right? And the idea was this sergeant major was like, hey, for the first piece of cake, we have so and so who's 18 years old, whatever, and the next piece of cake goes to our battalion gunner. And this dude has like liver spots. He looks like he's 80. Mouth is like hanging down like that. He's like our battalion gunner who is 40. He's like, what the fuck? 40? But he looks like he's 80. It's hilarious, dude. It's created by this guy named Maximilian Uriarte. It's been going for a while. And he's got these comic books, these actual like series. It's called like The White Donkey and stuff like that. It's like actual books, like hardcover books. But this dude is so creative and comes up with so many different clips, man. I gotta find this one. It's was it Terminal Lance? It's freaking hilarious. Terminal Lance, Chief Warrant Officer. And it made me laugh because they're like, hey sir, look, check it out. And I look at the dude, I'm like, what are you trying to say? I'm old as shit. He's like, oh no, sir, no, not like that. Gosh,
there was a Marvel series. It didn't last very long, but I like it. I read it was in the 80s. It was called Semper Fi, and it was one family through several generations, all being Marines, and I can't remember which one it ended at. It probably ended at Vietnam, but I think it was 9 issues, but it took you through some historical battles and historical sites, which I thought was cool. So it was almost like a time machine for one family that had several decades of Marine Corps service. But yeah, you had Bellow Wood. I think there was a Banana Wars battle or two, and then World War II. I can't remember which island they were taking, but yeah, you'd like it if you can find it. It's very. I don't think they ever came up with a trade, but it's very inexpensive. I can say that for the entire series, entire run.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, for a while there, I had applied to the Marine Corps had this. It's like a B bill, not a B bill. It's like a secondary kind of MOS.
Yeah, we call them special assignment in the Coast Guard. Yeah, so like recruiting and yeah. I know.
So it was similar to that, but it wasn't exactly like a B bill, like recruiting or drill instructor. This was kind of like a supplemental MOS, right? And it was a combat artist. So essentially, what you would do is you apply to it, you get selected for it, and then you get attached. Aside from your regular duties, right? You still got to perform your duties, but when you can, you take these TDYs, TADs, and get attached to different units, and you kind of stand back as they're doing training. Like it could be in training in Alaska, or in what's the one that they do up in the snow? Gosh, in the mountains. Anyhow, and they could be doing cold weather training. They could be doing, whatever, Wake Island, going somewhere, and you're attached to these units, and you're kind of standing back and drawing them, sketching them, and that goes into the archives, right? Like National Archives, right? And a lot of them the good ones get reprinted and sent out to units as a morale type thing as well. So I applied to that thing. I did not get selected, right? I found out about it too far into my career at like 19 years in. And I had already had the idea of retiring. So I'm like, if I would have got selected there, I would have continued on to 21, 22 years, whatever. I didn't get selected for that, which was a bummer. But I have good friends of mine, a major or lieutenant colonel now. No, he's a major, who is a combat artist, former chief warrant officer, former enlisted, combat artist guy who does his stuff, gets attached to units and does all this. And it's incredible. I think there's other MOSs like that across different branches. If anybody else has heard about this, that would have kept me going, man, past the 20 right there, because you're just attached to units and drawing. That's like my dream, dude. Like you're getting paid to draw shit, to draw people. And like Jason Miyamoto says in the comments, just so a lot of crayon eating show interesting. Yeah, well, I suppose a lot of crayon eating and a lot of coffee drinking. So just a little bit of melted wax in there just to wake you up. But yeah, that combat artist stuff, man, really got me interested in other artists that are doing stuff like this guy Maximilian with the was this Terminal Lands comic strip. There's a couple other ones like Semper Tunes and stuff like that. And I'm sure other branches have other like different comic books or comic strips that they have. But it got me interested, and then I started picking up books on artists in the Afghanistan war, Vietnam, combat artists, World War II. There's a guy who, I forgot his name, he makes these professional looking like drawings of planes, and then there's ships. Amazing stuff. So it kind of got me like immersed in that whole like military history type of artwork. I started doing it myself after the fact. But yeah, I love this stuff, man. I could talk about the artwork and the perspectives and the ideas behind it all freaking day, dude.
Yeah. That would be cool to get that, Joe.
Yeah. Would have been, but that's not part of the life plan. For some reason, I didn't get it. That's not part of the life plan, man. But yeah, dude. And you mentioned you have kids, right?
I got one. Yeah.
Daughter? Your daughter, yeah. Plays hockey and all that. That's good. So a big part of my thoughts and my writing this week was raising, I say building, but I meant raising a good human, a good adult, and what that looks like. And I kind of look back on, my parents I feel like my parents did a good job, with what they had. They didn't have a lot of money or anything like that, but they got us in school. I was a troublemaker when I was younger. And, I really put my parents through their paces. And I've since apologized many times to them about that. Like, hey, I was a freaking knucklehead, but then it got me thinking, like, hey, what are what's the baseline? Like, how do we build a good adult for the future? Because at some point in time, these folks are going to be our next governors, or not saying that my kids are going to be the governor, but, as a whole,
the generation,
the generation, right? And I'm curious, man, since you got a kid, I'm curious, like, are there any particular lessons that you teach your kid about growing up to be a good person? Maybe something that you learned later on in life that you have now trying to implement into them.
So for prioritize school,
major shift from the comic book, but I again, this question was kind of like on the tip of my mind.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's and it's an important one, because you're right. They're going to be taking care of us someday. Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't prioritize. I didn't do badly, but I could have done better. Let's just say that in school. So my priorities probably weren't for my future when I was in the moment. We live and we learn. And I felt like the career choice that I had was definitely not only the most productive, but the one I needed at the time. And I felt like I found the right place. So I prioritizing school, which she doesn't even need me looking over her shoulder for that. That's something that she was just she just valued from the minute go. But when she's in, she plays high school hockey, and her coach is an older man, and he's very stoic, but he's been doing it a very long time, and he sometimes, I mean, he expects a lot from them. They're a good team, and that's competitive sports, especially at that level. So I really impressed that what he says is the law when it comes to, like, you might not agree with what it is, but there is a team focused end goal. So I guess it's more of just like respecting authority, respect. I don't want to say respecting elders with calling him an old man, but he's there's a lot of miles on those shoes, and he knows what he's doing. They all know what they're doing, and your job is to be a good example for everybody else that's coming up through the ranks that's going to be having the same frustrations. So those two are pretty paramount. She does have a job. I think we've done a pretty good job of teaching her the value of money. I'm not going to say we don't spoil her from time to time, especially me. But where was I going with that? Oh, just earning your keep. Just showing up on time, putting in an honest shift, and being able to reap the rewards of what you what you make. And
Yeah.
you want to spend your money, and you can blow it on one thing or save it for another. That's your prerogative, but you got to balance your own funds, because I'm not, if you spend all your money at Dunkin', I'm not going to fill up your gas tank, sort of thing. So I'll treat you when the time comes. But
yeah, exactly.
Did that answer your question? Or was that?
It did. I'm just, it really did, because I just wanted to get your perspective. Everybody's is different. I've got tons of different answers, right? A lot of, like, when I ask somebody on Sunday when I go to church, like, oh, faith is huge, right? Okay, got it, faith. Or like when I talk to somebody, maybe a friend of mine who's a financial counselor, he's like, oh yeah, I teach my kid about money. Got it. So everybody's answers is different. I appreciate yours as well. And a couple of things that you mentioned, respecting authority. I think that is huge, especially nowadays, in today's society, right? Because you got some kids who are not, like, I don't want to say not raised right, but maybe their parents did not teach them how to act correct with other folks, around other folks. I'll give you a quick example. This is not specifically respecting authority, but more of respecting others within your space. This morning, when I took my son, the youngest one, well, both of them, right? I took them to the gym this morning with me. They're on Christmas break right now. And the youngest one messes around, and there's other people working in this. It's kind of like a yoga room in the back of the gym, right? There's other people like doing like stretches and stuff like that. Kind of quiet, And my kid's acting a fool, laughing, joking. I'm like, hey, be aware that other people around you are also working out, and you're being a nuisance right now. Calm it down. Just tone it down a little bit. And for the most part, he did. But, I like what you mentioned. You also mentioned valuing of money. That's another thing. There's so much, and I don't know if you've ever talked to your kid about this, about like debt, but there's so much consumerism out there, so much desire to bring more trash into your house, into your life, that it consumes you, right? Hence consumerism, consumes, right? And I have that conversation with my kids all the time. Like, when you work, when you have a job, it's actually going to take you whatever it is. Maybe they up the minimum wage. Back when I was working, it was like $5 an hour, $5.15 or something. Yeah. Now it's like, here it's like $25 an hour, right? Which, it's still, you can't really do much with that if you're getting minimum wage, right? But it's $25 an hour. But it's going to take them an hour to gain that $20, right? Don't spend it on dumb stuff. Just understand that it takes you this much. Like when they leave the light on in the room, I'm like, hey, dude, turn that off. And when they leave the computer on, the TV on, I'm like, dude, I got to pay for this trash, So the value of money is huge, and showing them like maybe the debt, helping them understand the debt is huge, dude. Because I think a lot of people don't get that education. So, so what I do, and I'm curious what your outlook is on this. And so my daughter lives with us. My daughter's 21, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she has a job, and I make her pay rent, right? So what I do is I tell her, hey, look, she was going to move out with her friends. But then I said, hey, look, rather than pay $1,500 to do that, I got it. They're your friends and all that stuff. Completely different place. You guys get to do that. But understand that you've never paid $1,500 for anything in your life. So how about you just pay a little bit of rent here, a fraction of what that is. That actually just covers like the electric bill. That's all it does. Electric bill and her cell phone. That's it. I make her pay rent. She fought back on it. Very much so. She's like, why should I do that? Why should I have to do that? Well, because not everything in life is free. So I need you to understand. I'm kind of slowing you into that. Have you ever had that thought? I don't know how old your kid is, but have you ever had that thought of potentially charging your kid rent to kind of ease them into like the actual adulthood and what life is actually like? Not everything is free.
Yeah, I have. It's funny you mention that because I have a close friend who wouldn't move out on his own until he was like 25, because why would you pay rent and pay somebody else's mortgage when you can just have your own? Just save up the money living with my parents, and that's fine. It wouldn't work with me. Growing up, it wouldn't have worked, or with my own parents, and I'm certainly not going to do that. I feel like when you get to the adult age, you either deserve your peace or you deserve some income for I don't know, fostering a room at that point for an adult. So absolutely, I respect that a lot. Mine is approaching 18. She's still in high school, so I mean, I'll give her that. And then she'll go away to school, and we'll entertain it when the time comes. But no, I think that's commendable.
Yeah, and a big reason it was pushed back hard from her side, because I was told you don't treat the boys like this. I'm like, well, the boys don't have jobs. They're kids still. I'm not going to charge kid rent. So you wouldn't ask them for that. Well, yeah, I would when the time came. So yeah, there's certain things, and I've always told my wife that, and I play around with it, but there's some truth behind it a little bit. Like I was raised a certain way, right? In Jersey, my parents didn't have too much money. They did what they could. And I felt like that was a pretty good upbringing. So I'm like, look, we have the means of giving these kids like a really good life. Yeah. But if we give them everything, and I mean, I give my kids what I can, when I can. But if I was to give them everything, I feel like it would spoil them, and that's not what I want. So I joke with my wife. I'm like, I'm gonna raise these kids like we're poor. She's like, why would you? I'm like, well, because I didn't have anything, and look, I came out okay, I think, and just got to make them earn it a little bit. So when they're asking for stuff, Dad, can I have that? No, put it on your Christmas list. Put it on this list. So, or you got to earn it. Give me 100 push-ups over the course of the next week, and maybe we'll talk about it. Something like that, kind of like a pay for it type of way.
I think it trains the mind too a little bit, in the sense that if your daughter's paying rent to come back home, I mean, she's not going to be there for too long. If she's going to either move in with some friends or find her own niche and then move out. It's not going to be such a hit. I mean, living on your own is it can be a financially scary time for that first time. I remember the first time I was living in the economy. I mean, I loved it, but it was you get a newfound respect for everything that your parents provided you. You're paying for your
absolutely.
Groceries are expensive as hell. You're paying for your power. Power's expensive. You're paying for your own phone, your own car insurance. Those costs can be your entire paycheck. And that's not even including the insurance, like health insurance. So
right.
I think that kind of feeds into that crawl, walk, run mentality, but teaching responsibility in the same light. If it's $1,500, especially in California, is not that much. If she's working, she's likely not going to be able to find an apartment for $1,500. So at best, she'll be paying $1,500 of her share when the time comes.
Yeah.
And then that part she's used to. Then the more exorbitant things like, oh yeah, I I got to budget a little bit more for that. And, it's, kind of went around the mountain again, but that's
no, yeah, it's exactly what I'm trying to show. And yeah, 1,500 won't go far. And I'm sure it won't go far in Boston either,
no.
So, I mean, that would be like a fraction of maybe sharing an apartment with somebody, but that is essentially what I'm trying to teach these kids. Is, the value of money, like you mentioned, having stability, like respect for others and for yourself, especially. Curious about your thoughts, man. Like I made a video a while back about allowing my kids to join the military.
Yeah.
There's different sides of it, right? Like I wouldn't mind it. Like for the boys, yeah, go ahead, do that. For the girl, I don't particularly. I know what I was like as a young and dumb Marine, and I'm like, well, I don't know about that part of it, about letting her join. But curious your thoughts on that. Like, would you let your kid join the military?
I would, and she has raised the subject a few times. I think ultimately she's not going to pursue that. I don't want to shut the door on anything, but it doesn't sound like she's going to pursue that path, at least for now. She had even been contemplating applying to some of the academies. I think we're an evolving culture, both in society and in the military, and I do think that that we've made a lot of positive strides in the service. That I feel. I don't know if safe is the right word, but I do feel like she would be in a good place. Not to say that it was ever a bad place at all, but I like the things that would concern me the most. I do feel like her best interest would be looked after in today's minute. Does that make sense?
It does. We definitely evolved. I mean, I come from it from a perspective of having worked military justice for many years.
Yeah.
Right. So I've been on the fence on it because I've seen,
the worst of the worst.
The worst. Yeah. I've dealt with, assaults and domestic violences and all that stuff, and investigated all that. And I've seen the bad parts of it. And that kind of made me hesitant, there's barracks assaults and stuff like that. It made me a little hesitant about that. But a lot of that was more prevalent during the younger parts of my career. In the later years, I understand what you mean. Like there's more awareness about the assaults and stuff like that. There's more awareness about all that. So I think, the military has tried to make things better for all, for women and men to join, because of the history, because of that pushback. I mean, there's, I don't know, there are thousands of IG inspections and things like that, or IG complaints on stuff like that. So I mean, you can FOIA that stuff if you like and see it. But I mean, I think that you're right. They have made strides on making it better. I think from my perspective at the beginning and the crap I was working on to like the ending. So yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't feel as bad, but it also depends on like the branch as well. So I think like Navy, Air Force. I mean, I'm not too sure about Coast Guard or anything like that, but when we were looking at one, it was potentially Air Force. My wife was former Air Force, so she could talk about it, and at one point, my daughter, I think she was messing with me. She's like, I'm thinking about joining the Marine Corps. I was like, you don't want to do that. Trust me, and I'm like, why put yourself through a lot harder stuff than you need to when everybody gets paid the same and you could potentially have a great career elsewhere. So I'm like, look into the Air Force, look into the Navy. Right. So, but yeah, I feel coming from the Air Force or from the Marine Corps side, I think that there is still it's like I call it like it's like a man's world almost, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if there's any women out there from the Marine Corps, I mean, no disrespect or anything like that, but I feel like everything it is very man centric, you know. And now, I mean, it used to be very bad like that. I think it's gotten a little bit better. So that's kind of like what why I was hesitant about letting her like talk me into her going into the Marine Corps. I was like, no, no. Other branches I think would be best for her. As
Yeah,
far as like my my sons, they want to go in the Navy, so I'm like, hey, go. You know, my youngest one wants to be a Marine pilot. I'm
yeah,
like, fucking do it, dude. That's
do
awesome,
it.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The other one wants to be an engineer in the Navy. I'm like, do it, dude. But
yeah. It sucks that has to be in our forethought, that
yeah.
because most people are good people. It's the military is comprised of mostly decent human beings.
Yeah.
Uh,
I agree.
with that said, it is a population, so even if it's a small population, it's bigger than most towns and cities that we're familiar with.
Mhm.
Every town and city has bad guys in it, so people slip through the cracks. That's just the
Yeah.
reality. Um, and I feel like we're at a place where we're better off being able to talk about what concerns us the most, because it was so
Mhm.
hush hush for a long time. But one of the things that I appreciated, and this is several years ago, that it's evolving, it's getting better every year, I feel like. But there were no bystanders, so you can feel comfortable stopping any situation, regardless of the rank that might be
Yeah.
not really performing it, but might be, I don't know what the word is, but
No, I get
acting
what you mean.
on it.
Mhm.
There are sideways routes to go, or alternate routes to go, where you don't even have to go through the chain, and you can
Yeah.
put a stop to it. There are outside investigations that'll take place,
Mhm.
so that are anonymous, or at least that's the intent.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I do think I think we've improved, not only as a society, but as a service overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, for good reason too. I mean, it a lot of times it takes these actions to make the damn
Yeah,
to make it go into law, unfortunately. But again, I feel like my bias comes from having seen like the worst freaking crap, um, and from both the Navy and the Marine Corps side, and sometimes it's hard to look past that, especially when having that conversation with my daughter.
it's
I'm
a
like,
valid
yeah, I don't
concern.
know.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
definitely a valid concern.
yeah,
But yeah, I do. I mean, I would have my normal talks. Like I would want her to make an absolute decision before signing any dotted lines and what have you. And I'd have my
yeah,
um, I'd have my fatherly concerns.
hmm.
But I think at the
I
end
mean,
of the
that's
day,
valid. Yeah,
yeah, I think at the end of the day, I trust that she'd be in safe hands, and the safest hands. It's obviously a dangerous job, but I feel like she'd be in the safest hands to have a successful career, however long.
yeah, of course, man. No, that's good. That's good because I mean, you've been there, you've done that, so you know how the military works. So I
Yeah,
mean, you know how the Coast Guard works. I'm familiar with the Marine side, and I lived in the barracks. I've lived in
yeah,
base housing and all that stuff, so I understand it exactly how it works. No, that's good, dude. Yeah, that was a big topic. I was talking to some some friends of mine, some still active duty, some former, who were mentioning like, "Hey, my kid's thinking about joining," or I have another one whose kids, two friends whose kids are at the academies. So Naval Academy, and I think one's at West Point. So we were
Smart
talking
kids.
about that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the route my older son is going to the Naval Academy. Like we did the summer STEM program. He's doing it again this summer. We went out to Annapolis last summer or last June, I think it was, and beautiful place, man. I had never been out there before. Annapolis, Maryland, beautiful
Yeah, it is
place.
beautiful.
Crazy. You could just walk up to like the governor's house out there in Annapolis. It's crazy, but very awesome place. We got a tour of the entire school, the grounds. Very, very cool school. But I'm happy about that. Like I felt like I was doing something good with raising this kid the right way. And and I try to surround myself with folks like that who are trying to teach their kids good things. Like my kid had a problem with another kid at school, the younger one, at one point. And I told him, "Hey, look, you can defend yourself if you need to. I will have your back 100%. You don't let somebody just push you. If you need to defend yourself, I will be there." His concern was if I defend myself, I'll get in trouble. Like if I hit this kid back, he got pushed at school essentially. So he's like, if I hit this kid back, I will be in trouble. I'm like, your teacher might tell you you're in trouble, but I'm telling you from my perspective, if you defend yourself, you will not be in trouble. And I will back you up 100%. I will talk to the principal, whatever you need me to do, right? Whatever needs to happen. And the other day he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, Dad, kid's messing around again, et cetera, et cetera." And I'm like, he's like, can you show me a couple things? Because he's done jujitsu, and I show him boxing and stuff like that. He's like, if he comes and pushes you with his right hand, what would you do? And I'm like, honestly, if it's like a street fight, I'd kick him in the nuts or punch him in the nose or like one of these to the ears or something, right?
Shins. Yeah.
The shins, rake the shins or something, just to get the idea is not to have to fight, but to get away from the situation, to make sure this dude doesn't initiate anything after the fact. So, and I'm like, if I were you, man, I'd pop the kid right in the ear or something. Or, I'm giving him these pointers. My wife is like, "Are you sure?" Like, I'm like, if the kid's gonna push him, the kid's got, he needs to defend himself. He needs to understand that. But I sat him down and I mentioned that this doesn't mean that you go looking for trouble. It just means that this is meant for you to get away because you don't want to fight. And I was watching a video. Jocko, this guy Jocko, the Navy SEAL.
Mm-hmm.
He had mentioned something to that effect. Like if somebody wanted to fight me, like in a street fight, he's like, I'm walking away. I'm running away. And the guy who was talking to him was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because for one, if he initiates any kind of contact, he's probably going to get sued, because they're going to go, nothing's going to work out well in that situation. He's probably going to get sued. And somebody's going to get severely hurt, so nobody's going to walk away unscathed.
Yeah.
But if you got to defend yourself, you got to defend yourself. You don't let people hit you." And that was the big thing, because everybody wants to sue everybody these days. But I'm like, hey, look, at that point, if you're going to initiate contact with my kid, I gave my kid full way forward to defend himself. But I do understand what he means. Like, hey, if you don't want to engage in that stuff, walk away.
Hey, Vic, I'm gonna log off. My girl
man.
has a hockey game at 4, so I'm gonna. It's 3 on this side. But appreciate you having me. Great.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
And
anytime, dude.
thanks again for hosting these. I love them. So
yeah, I'm here, man. Awesome. Good having you on, bro.
yes, sir. All right. See you next time. All right.
All right. Take it easy, man. All right. That was Boston Rob. Awesome to have him on. Going to the comments really quick. Jason Miyamoto. So a lot of crayon eating show. Interesting. Yeah. Step away from the crayons. 12 Bravo 10. Sometimes you got to eat them. Sometimes you got to eat them. Mo Perspective. Yeah. I lived in Bowie, Maryland, and would walk through Annapolis all the time. Took my son to the academy and the candy shops, of course. Yes. Annapolis, Maryland was amazing when I went out there. We stayed at a little hotel right by that little river by the pier. Took a ghost tour out there, very cool spot. I love walking around the cobblestone streets and just checking those places out. So very cool. A lot of history in that town. So love that. Question, Mo Perspective. Did you and your son watch the Jake Paul and Joshua fight? We did. Of course we did. It was a great Christmas gift. I'll put it that way. But no, it was the thing with the Jake Paul and Joshua fight is um I read it online and I concur with this. It should not ever have happened. Um, it should have never been sanctioned. I understand why they did it. It was a payday, a big name versus this guy who is always calling people out, and then he's always fighting people who are either retired or washed up or something like that. Meaning Jake Paul, right? And it. But the thing is, it should have never been sanctioned because if you watch the fight, this dude was like on his knees, falling all over the place, more so than not. Versus Joshua. Joshua is an Olympic boxer. He is if he's well versed in his craft. I think his record now is like 29-1 with 29 knockouts. I think it should not have happened. The other dude, Paul, walked away with a broken jaw. It could have been a lot worse because I don't think he was ready for that fight. He didn't look like he was in shape. So um, I don't know, but yes, we did watch the fight. My kid was rooting for Joshua, because for the sole fact that Jake Paul makes himself a target by the way he acts. Let me see. No Perspective, exactly. Ain't no fighting fair in the streets. Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's why I get in the warrior stance at all times when I walk down the street. Let's see. Navy Cop says Paul got 120 mil while Joshua only pulled 60 mil. It was a payday, nothing else. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I will say this, that Jake Paul is a good businessman for what he does. He's made a lot of money doing his promotions and his fights and just being kind of the person that he is. I'll put it like that. But he gets a lot of hate. I don't know. I'm not his biggest fan, but if he's raking in 120 mil, good on him. I don't know what I would do with 120 mil. I don't know that I would want that much money, to be honest. I don't know if you'll hear that too often from folks, but I don't know that I would want that much. I'd have to give a lot of it away, I think. I think it's too much of a burden. Maybe a fraction of that so my family and I can live okay, but and the next generation, but I would don't know that I would want those hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, Perspective says, I will say I appreciate him reviving boxing for the smaller names and using his money for that purpose. Yeah, he is a big promoter of women's boxing as well. So that's good. I mean, I think women's boxing needs it, and he puts them up there as like big name fights. So that's good. going on here? Yeah, awesome. Folks, if you haven't already done so, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It really helps put this channel in front of other veterans on their YouTube homepage to potentially build camaraderie and build that sense of belonging again, something that a lot of us have missed over the course of the years since we left the military. Either through the comments, you can jump on the live stream and talk to me on here if you'd like. I'll be on for a little bit longer, but if anybody wants to jump on, very much so, would be happy to converse with you, just like I did with Boston Rob. Thankfully, he's on there all the time, and he loves to jump on, so good stuff. Jump on the live stream. Here's the link if you feel so inclined to jump on the live stream and tell me what you got going on around the holidays. The holidays are right here, like right around the corner. What's today, the 22nd? 1, 2, 3, 3 more days. Excuse me. 3 more days. And it's Christmas. And then I don't know what else folks out there celebrate, but we're in it right now. The holiday season, we're in it. What are your plans? What do you got going on? Are you getting your kids anything for Christmas? I for one got my kids 37 pencils, so I'm pretty excited about that, and 37 dolls, so pretty excited about that. And it all fits in their stocking, so can't hate on it. Curious what everybody got their kids too. I can't say it too loud because my kids are right next door, but they should be happy. Now, I did limit it. To, we used to get several gifts, and I limited it to something they need and something they want. So, of course, there's always clothing or like a new pair of shoes, and then something they want. So whatever it is that was on their list. Curious if you have any regs that you keep yourself, any constraints on what you are getting your folks for Christmas. Maybe cop cards for the kids, but nothing much else this year. Hopefully next year will be a little more income stable so I can provide something. I like it, man. Hey, you know what? Cards for the kids, it shows that you care. It does. I sent a Christmas card to several people. I actually sent one to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. Curious if I'll get anything back. Just letting him know, hey, thank you for keeping the Corps going, especially now in this 250th year. Happy with what he's doing and continue doing so. Still got these Amazon deliveries coming through. A lot of comments on here. Oh, hell yeah. Look at that. Yeah, so in 2026, I will be teaming up with a few sponsors of the channel. All right, so please understand that I'll probably be like doing some kind of a little ads in here for these sponsors. It's all for a good cause. I mean, I gotta pay for this software somehow, and I like what these people are putting out. I'm very selective on who I work with. I've gotten several organizations, people, nonprofits, things like that, who will reach out and want to be a part of the Green Logbook. and very selective on who I work with. So right now, who I'm working with is EB Travels. EB Travels. So if you're ever in the market to go Space A, I know a lot of us rate Space A travel, and I'll be doing so this year as well, taking advantage of that Space A. If you will be doing Space A, check out EB Travels. I'll actually put it up on the screen. Very good piece of gear. So this guy, I believe he's an Army captain who actually created this website. And I'll put it up on the screen. Here we go. Dude created this website here. And essentially what you do is you put in, say you want to go from, I don't know, like West Coast to maybe East Coast, and you explore flights, and it tells you, hey, we got a flight going from Travis Air Force Base to Wright-Patterson. There's 19 seats available. And he has a link to the 72-hour schedule on here, and it tells you all this information on here. Wright-Patterson, 19 seats available. Roll call at 0115, etc. Good piece of gear. Anybody who's interested in it, and he's got, I think it's, gosh, hold on. Let me go to the next screen. I don't know why I didn't show the next screen there. Screen share. Here we go. So up comes, once you click that link, up comes this screen here. It shows you, it takes you directly to the terminal. It shows you what's going on. So 24th, 23rd, 22nd, etc. So EB Travels. So it's he's got, I think it's 45 days for free if you wanted to try it out after that. It's a paid service, and he could actually send out through the website, send out the flight request to the terminal for you via the website. So good piece of gear, kind of like a one-stop shop. The site gets updated automatically every 20 minutes, as it says up there, every 20 minutes. Use code Green Logbook for, I believe it's 20% off of the monthly price, and it's not anything crazy. It's like $5. So 20% off. If you want to make your Space A travel easier, check it out. EB Travels. More information on that. Let's see. Going to the comments here. Working on a book of the month / book club option on the media site, something we can collaborate on in 2026. I'll message you more about my thoughts on it. Absolutely, man. I'm huge on reading. I love to, I like to think that I get 1% better every day. And I like to think that I surround myself with people who are of the same mindset. I try to limit who is in my immediate group, right? If they are toxic, if they're not good for me, I try to distance myself from those people. And I hope that folks out there are doing the same thing. You deserve to surround yourself with people of worth who will lift you up. So if it's all about reading for you in 2026, definitely do that. Surround yourself with people who will talk to you about what you love. 100% Navy cop. Reach out to me. Let me know. Give me a second here. I've been sipping coffee for too dang long. I will be right All right, back at it. I thought, what happened to that screen? I thought I had that screen up. Back at it here. Topic of the day is camaraderie around the holidays and making real connections. If you feel so inclined to, here is the link. Jump on the live stream if you like. Make some connections. Let's talk about what you got going on around the holidays. Let's talk about what you have going on today. Today's Monday, start of the week. A shout out to the folks who got their workout in today. Very cool. And if you're going to get your workout in today, later on today, shout out to you as well. You're making things happen. You're looking out for your health and your future. The idea here is we've got payments coming in for like VA disability or retirement. Keep that going as long as possible. That means taking care of yourself so you can see it into the day as long as possible. So that's the idea behind all of that. Oh, damn, how many comments shout out to the military retirement group. If you haven't already joined the military retirement group on Facebook, I run that group. I'm the admin on there. Join in. Just fill out the little form. I just ask some questions on there, like, were you actually military branch of service, stuff like that, and I will add you on the group. It's a good group of folks, about 2,900 folks in there so far. We share information in the files tab. We share stuff on for veterans, for retirees, et cetera, et cetera. On my own website, thegreenlogbook.com, I have a tab up top with files for folks who are leaving the military as well. So definitely check that out. Some loud people. Let's see, Navy Cop says, took 2 vacation days today and tomorrow, so no work until next Monday. Hell yeah. Working on the sites and business as I can. Hell yeah, dude. I like that. Taking time to focus on your mission. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And big ups to the folks who have subscribed to the channel already. About to hit 8,400 subs on there. Very thankful for that. Have far surpassed my goal of December. So the goal was always hit 80,000. That was it. And I've surpassed that, going on 8,400 here, probably in the next few minutes. Let me close this window here. You can hear everything. Okay. Let's see who we got in the chat here. Who we got in the room. If you're just joining, feel free to comment below. Let me know where you're coming from, where you're joining from, what branch of service you served in. Good to have you on the Green Logbook. So I was going through my analytics, right? I like looking at these analytics on YouTube, and it's something free that YouTube provides. And as I was going through this stuff, it showed the best time to either stream or put out videos for the Green Logbook was around 5 to 6 p.m. 5 to 6 p.m. So I'm thinking, well, I'm usually doing stuff around that time anyway, but I'm thinking, like, what if I did these live streams later in the day? I like the veterans and coffee. I don't drink coffee at night. What are your thoughts on doing these live streams later on in the day? Do you think it'd be more worth it? Is it more feasible for you or other folks to come on to discuss, to talk, to share, to share stories and build camaraderie. Is it easier to come on later on in the day, or is like first thing in the morning better for you? Let me know. I got time. I can make time. I can set aside an hour to do this. I really enjoy doing this stuff. So, or if I need to rename it Veterans and Whiskey, we can do a little sipping in the evening. All good. I will be putting out more videos this week, so be on the lookout for that. If you're a member of the channel, you will get first dibs, first views of the information I'm putting out there. So if you are a member, thank you for being a member. But yeah, members get first view on what I got going out as far as videos. So be on the lookout for that. I got a few videos. I got some stuff written on here that I'm going to be putting out this week. Looking forward to it. Okay. So I think oh man, that's good. It's good because it's got all the stuff at the bottom there, bottom of the coffee cup. But all right, I think that is good for today. Be on the lookout for the next coming videos. If you haven't already done so, please consider liking and subscribing, because that really helps to put this video in front of, or this channel in front of, more veterans out there who may be looking for a place to come together, to share some camaraderie, to share some coffee, and to talk about life, to talk about what they got going around the holidays. I love doing this stuff. I'm here to talk to other veterans. So please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out. And with that, if you got anything else, please put in the comments below. I will answer the comments. I will look at them after the fact. But thank you for watching the Green Logbook. Be on the lookout for the next videos I put out here. Stay safe. 988 is the number for the Veterans Crisis Line. Press 1 to connect to somebody. And, just be safe out there. Out here.